The station was almost empty when I arrived. Cold air moved slowly through the platform. The lights above flickered like they were struggling to stay alive. It was the last train of the night, the one no one talks about. I checked the time again. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes before departure, a few people stood scattered across the platform, not talking, not moving much, just waiting. Something felt wrong, but I could not explain it. The train rolled in without a sound. Too smooth, too quiet. The doors opened with a soft mechanical hiss. No announcement followed. No conductor stepped out one by one. The passengers began to board. No one rushed, no one hesitated. They moved slowly, almost in sync. I watched their faces, blank expressions, eyes forward, like they already knew where they were going. I stepped inside. The air was colder in the train, heavier. The lights were a dim casting, long shadows across the empty seats. I took a seat near the window. Across from me, a man sat perfectly still. He did not blink. He did not move. I tried not to stare. More passengers entered, filling the carriage quietly. No voices, no footsteps, just silence. The doors closed, still no announcement. The train began to move, slow at first, then faster. I looked out the window. The platform slipped away into darkness, and that was the moment I realized no one had said a single word, not even once. And somehow that felt like the beginning of something I shouldn't have boarded. The train moved deeper into the night, faster than it should. The sound of the tracks felt distant, almost unnatural inside the carriage. Silence pressed in from every side. No announcements came, no destination was shown, no screens, no signs, nothing. I pulled out my phone, no signal. I checked again. Still nothing. It was like the outside world had disappeared. I looked around. Passengers sat in perfect stillness. No one shifted, no one coughed, no one even breathed loudly. It didn't feel human. The man across from me stared forward, eyes open, unblinking. I waited. 1 second, 2 seconds, 10, nothing. Not a single blink. A chill ran through me. I looked further down the carriage. Every face was the same, frozen, empty, disconnected, like they were there but not really there. The lights above flickered softly, casting shadows that moved more than they should. For a moment I thought I saw someone twitch, but when I focused, they were still again. I swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. This had to be normal. There had to be an explanation. But the silence kept growing, heavier, deeper, until it felt like the train itself was holding its breath. And then I'd realized something worse. It wasn't just quiet, it was controlled silence. Like something or someone was making sure no sound existed at all. The train began to slow, not suddenly but gradually, like it was approaching something important. I looked out the window. Darkness at first, then shapes a platform barely visible through the fog. No lights except a few dim ones, flickering in the distance. The train came to a complete stop. The doors opened. A soft hiss cut through the silence. I waited. Someone had to move. This was a station. That is what trains do. They stop. People leave. People enter. But no one stood up. No one even looked toward the doors. I scanned the platform. Empty. No staff. No passengers. No signs. Not even a name. Just a long stretch of concrete disappearing into darkness. The doors stayed open too long. Longer than normal, like they were waiting for something or someone. A cold wave of unease moved through me. I looked back at the passengers. Still the same, still frozen, still silent. I stood up slowly. My heart beat louder than anything in the carriage. I stepped into the aisle. Nothing happened. No one reacted. I took another step. Closer to the open doors. The platform looked wrong. Not abandoned but forgotten, like it had been erased from memory. The fog shifted slightly, and for a brief second, I thought I saw a figure standing far down the platform. Watching, I blinked. It was gone. My chest tightened. I looked back inside the train. Still no movement. It was like the world outside existed separately. Disconnected, I turned back toward the door. The open darkness felt like it was pulling me, inviting me, daring me to step out. but something deep inside me refused. Every instinct screamed the same thing. Do not. Leave. The doors suddenly closed. Sharp final. The sound echoed through the carriage, the train started moving again, and as the platform disappeared into darkness, one thought settled in my mind. That place was never meant for the living. I remained standing in the aisle. My hands felt cold, my chest tight. Something had changed, not around me, but inside me. The silence no longer felt empty, it felt watchful. I turned slowly toward the nearest passenger, a woman sitting by the window, her face pale, expression blank. I took a step closer. "Excuse me." My voice sounded wrong, too loud, too sharp. It cut through the carriage like it didn't belong there. No response, she didn't even blink. I tried again. "Do you know where this train is going?" Nothing. Not even a shift in her posture. I leaned slightly closer, trying to see her eyes. They looked distant, not focused on anything, not even on the world around her, like she was staring through everything. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I moved to the next passenger, an older man, same stillness, same empty gaze. "Can you hear me?" My voice shook this time. Still nothing. No reaction. No movement. I waved my hand in front of his face. Slowly, carefully. Nothing, not even a flicker. It was like he wasn't there. Like none of them were. A quiet panic began to rise. I stepped back, looking around the carriage again. Every single passenger, exactly the same, frozen, unreachable. And then something shifted. Not their bodies, not their faces, but their eyes. One by one, without moving their heads. Their eyes turned toward me, slowly, unnaturally. Every single one, now looking directly at me. My breath stopped. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. Dozens of eyes locked onto mine. Cold, empty, aware, and in that moment I understood something. I wish I didn't. They weren't ignoring me. They had been waiting for me to notice them. I stumbled back. My shoulder hit the side of a seat. The impact snapped something in me. I turned and moved quickly down the aisle, trying not to look at them, trying not to feel their eyes still following me. The carriage felt longer now, stretching in ways it shouldn't, each step heavier than the last. At the end of the carriage, a narrow door stood slightly open. A faint light flickered beyond it. I reached it, hesitated, then pushed it open. The next compartment was different, darker, colder. The air felt thick, harder to breathe. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me with a quiet click. This carriage was empty. No passengers, no movement, just rows of empty seats and a low humming sound. Coming from somewhere ahead, I walked slowly, forward. Every step echoing too loudly. At the far end, another door. This one fully closed, and beside it, a small window clouded dirty. I wiped it with my sleeve and looked through. My heart stopped. A figure stood on the other side, perfectly still, facing away from me. Wearing a dark uniform, the conductor. I knocked on the glass once, twice. The figure didn't move. I pressed closer. "Hey!" My voice came out weak, almost swallowed by the train. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, very slowly, the figure began to turn. Not naturally, not smoothly, but in small, sharp movements, like something learning how to move. My breath caught as the face came into view. Pale, expressionless eyes, too dark to see clearly. The conductor stared directly at me and smiled. A slow, unnatural smile that didn't reach the eyes. I froze, unable to step back, unable to look away, and then through the glass without opening the door. Without making a sound, I heard the voice right next to me. Not from the other side, but inside the carriage, close, too close. "You shouldn't be here." I spun around. No one was there. The carriage was still empty, but the voice had been real. Close enough to feel. My pulse raced. I turned back to the window. The conductor was still there, still staring, still smiling. But now something was different. The reflection in the glass shifted. I saw myself standing there, frozen. But wrong. My reflection wasn't breathing, wasn't moving like me. I slowly raised my hand. The reflection didn't follow. A cold wave passed through me. I stepped back. The reflection stayed still, watching me, not copying me. Watching, I shook my head. No. This wasn't possible. I turned away from the glass, trying to break whatever this was. And something pulled me back. A need to look again, I forced myself to face it. And this time, the reflection smiled. Not me. The reflection, its lips stretched slowly. Unnaturally, eyes locked onto mine, I stumbled backward, my legs nearly giving out behind me. The carriage lights flickered violently, on, off, on. For a split second of darkness, I heard movement, not one sound, many soft, dragging, shifting. The lights came back, the carriage was no longer empty. Passengers filled the seats, all of them facing me, all of them closer than before. Too close, they hadn't walked in. They were just there. My breathing broke into panic. I rushed toward the door, grabbing the handle, pulling hard. It wouldn't open, I pulled again. Nothing, I turned back. They were watching every single one, their eyes darker now. Deeper, like something was inside them. Looking out. The voice returned, this. "Aren't I clearer, calmer right behind me? You saw it. My body locked in place. You're not supposed to see it." I tried to move, but I couldn't. It felt like the air itself was holding me still. And then slowly the passengers began to stand one by one, without breaking eye contact, without making a sound, and I realized whatever this train was, it had finally decided I was part of it. I tried to breathe. But the air felt locked inside my chest. Every passenger was now standing, perfectly aligned, perfectly silent. No footsteps, no rustle of clothes, just stillness that felt alive. They were not walking toward me, but the space around me felt smaller, like the carriage itself was shrinking. The voice behind me spoke again, calm, too calm. "You understand now." I forced my head to turn slightly. The conductor stood at the far end of the carriage, but I couldn't tell any more if he was closer or further. Distance didn't feel real here. "What is this place?" I managed to say. My voice broke halfway. The conductor tilted his head, like he was studying something interesting. "This is where the journey corrects itself." My stomach dropped. The lights flickered again, but this time they didn't return properly. They stayed dim, unstable. The passengers took one step. Forward. Only one. But it echoed like 1,000 movements. I backed away instinctively, hitting the door behind me, still locked. Still sealed. "No," I whispered. The conductor raised a hand slightly, and immediately all movement stopped. Every passenger froze again, like a paused nightmare. The silence returned. He began walking toward me. Slow, controlled, each step making no sound at all. He stopped just a few feet away. Close enough now that I could see his face clearly. Or what passed for a face, too smooth in some places, too empty in others. "You boarded the last train," he said. I shook my head. "I just wanted to go home." For the first time, his smile faded. Not into anger, not into sadness, but into something worse. Understanding, that's what they all say. The carriage lights died completely. Total darkness. For a moment I couldn't see anything. Not even my own. Our hands. Then a soft light returned, not from the ceiling, from the windows outside. The platform was back, but it wasn't the same station anymore. No name, no signs, no world beyond it, just endless fog and empty space. The conductor leaned closer and whispered, "This is your stop," froze. My hand was still on the door behind me, but now it felt different. No longer like a barrier, more like something waiting. The conductor didn't move, but I felt him closer anyway, like space itself had folded outside the window. The fog was thicker now, almost alive. It pressed against the glass like it was trying to get in. "This is your stop." The words kept repeating in my head, but something felt wrong about them. Not a command, not an instruction. A decision I swallowed hard. I didn't ask to get off here. My voice sounded weak. Even to me, the conductor tilted his head. Again, slowly, like he was disappointed. "You already did." The carriage suddenly shook, not violently, but deeply, like the train had stopped breathing. The lights outside flickered, and for a second I saw something behind the fog. A shape tall, still watching. My heart pounded. I turned back to the conductor. "Who are you?" For a moment he didn't answer. Then quietly, "We are what remains after the stop is missed." The passengers behind him shifted just slightly, but enough their eyes were no longer fully human, not fully anything. The door beside me clicked. Once soft like a lock releasing, I flinched. The conductor stepped aside, not forcing me anymore, just allowing. The door was open, I looked through it. The platform outside looked empty, but wrong too empty, like it was waiting for footsteps that never came. Behind me, the passengers took another step. She forward closer this time, the conductor spoke one last time. No one gets off by accident. My hand trembled on the door handle. The fog outside seemed to move closer, like it recognized me. And inside the carriage, the silence waited. For my choice, I didn't move. My hand stayed on the door handle, but it felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. The platform outside was still there, barely visible through the fog. Empty too empty, like it had been erased and only the shape of it remained behind me. The passengers didn't speak, didn't rush, but I could feel them closer step by step, the kind of closeness you don't hear. You just know. The conductor stood slightly to the side now, watching, waiting, not helping, not stopping, just observing. My mind screamed to step out, to end this, to leave the carriage, but something didn't feel right. Nothing about this stop felt real. I looked down at the platform again, and that's when I noticed it. No shadows, no movement, no wind. Even the fog stayed still, like time had paused there. My breathing got heavier. "This isn't a station," I whispered. The conductor didn't react, but I felt his attention sharpen. I slowly pulled my hand back from the door. The moment I did, the train gave a deep hum, like it was unhappy. Behind me, a passenger took another step, then another. The silence started to break, not with sound, but with presence. Too many of them, too close now. I turned slightly. Just enough to see their faces were no longer empty. They were focused. Not on me, but on the door, like they were waiting for me to open it or step out. I looked back at the conductor. "This is a trap," I said. For the first time, he didn't deny it. He simply replied, "Every stop is." My grip tightened. My whole body felt stuck between two wrong choices. Outside, the fog shifted, and for the first time, something stepped forward from the platform. Not fully visible, but clearly waiting inside the train. The passengers stopped moving completely, all at once, and I realized whatever I choose now, it was already chosen before I even boarded. The stillness became unbearable. Not silence this time, but expectation, like the entire train was holding me in place, waiting for the exact moment I would break. I looked at the figure outside again. Through the fog, it was closer now, still unclear, but undeniably there, not moving like a person should. More like something remembering how to exist behind me. The conductor spoke softly, almost gently, "You can stay inside." A pause, "Or you can complete the stop." My throat went dry. "Complete it," I repeated. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he stepped closer, just enough for me to feel it. Not physical pressure, but certainty outside the window. The fog shifted again, and suddenly I saw something impossible. The platform lights flickered into existence, even though there were no lamps, no power source, no reason, and on the ground Mark's footsteps, fresh leading toward the train, not away from it. My heart pounded. Those footsteps weren't mine. I hadn't been there. Not yet. The conductor noticed my stare and nodded slightly as if confirming something I wasn't ready to understand. They always arrive before they leave. I stepped back from the door. Slowly, carefully. The moment I did, the train reacted. A low metallic sound echoed through the carriage, like something locking or unlocking. I couldn't tell which. The passengers shifted again, not walking, not speaking, but changing. Subtle distortions in their stillness. Like they were becoming less real the longer I looked at them. I turned fully now, looking at all of them. "I'm not one of you," I said. My voice cracked. The conductor's expression stayed calm, but his reply cut deeper than anything before. "Not yet." The lights outside the window flickered violently, and for a second the platform vanished completely. Just darkness. Then it returned but changed. The figure outside was no longer waiting. It was facing me and slowly it raised a hand, not waving, not greeting, pointing directly at the open door. Inside the carriage, every passenger took one synchronized step forward, and this time no silence could hide it anymore. They were coming for the choice, not the person. The moment they stepped forward, the carriage felt smaller again. Not physically, but in a way my mind couldn't escape, like there was less and less space left for me to exist. I backed away from the door instinctively. My heel hit the edge of a seat. I almost fell. The conductor didn't stop them. He just watched, calm, certain. Like this part had already been decided long ago. Outside the window, the figure still pointed, unmoving, patient, waiting like it had all the time in the world. The passengers took another step closer now. Close enough that I could see details I didn't want to see. Their eyes weren't just dark anymore, they were reflecting something. Not light, but the platform outside. As if the station itself was inside them, I turned sharply toward the conductor. "Stop this!" My voice cracked into the air. For the first time, he didn't respond immediately. Instead, he looked at me. Really looked like he was measuring what I had left. Then quietly, "I can't stop what already arrived." The train gave a sudden jerk. Not forward, not backward, but sideways, like reality itself shifted. The lights flickered again, and in that split second of darkness, I heard it. Footsteps inside the carriage, very close. I spun around. Nothing, but I felt it. Someone had moved. The passengers were still there, but something had changed. One seat was empty. I swear it was not empty before. My breathing turned sharp. I looked at the conductor. "He's here," I whispered. The conductor didn't deny it. Instead, he stepped slightly aside, clearing the space between me and the front of the carriage. And then he said something I didn't understand at first, until it settled in my mind. "You were never alone on this train." The empty seat creaked softly, like something had just sat down. But I couldn't see it. Not yet. And the worst part was, everyone else could. Except me. I stood completely still, my eyes locked on the empty seat, trying to see something that refused to be seen. The air around it felt heavier than everything else in the carriage. Like pressure bending inward, the passengers were no longer focused on the door. Now they were focused on that seat. Every single one of them. Even the conductor. My throat tightened. "What is there?" I asked quietly. No one answered, but I felt it. A presence shifting slightly, as if reacting to my voice. The seat creaked again. This time longer, like something adjusting its position. Then suddenly the overhead lights flickered hard and stayed dim. In that low light I saw it. Not clearly, but enough. A shape sitting, not fully formed, not fully absent, just between my vision. It blurred as I tried to focus, and the shape tilted its head slowly toward me. My legs went weak. I stepped back without thinking. The conductor's voice came again. Calm, almost instructional. "You've noticed it now." I shook my head. "No, I don't understand." The passengers took another synchronized step. Not toward me this time, but toward the seat, like they were acknowledging something I couldn't fully see. The shape shifted again, and this time I heard it, not with my ears, but inside my thoughts, a whisper, faint, familiar. "You boarded after me." My blood ran cold. I knew that voice, or at least I felt like I did. Memories flickered in my mind. The station, the silence, the boarding passengers. But something was missing. Something important. The conductor stepped closer. "Every train has a last passenger." He paused, "and every last passenger forgets they arrived unfirst." My breathing stopped for a second. Outside the window, the platform was gone. No fog, no figure, just blackness. Like the world beyond had been erased entirely. The seat creaked one final time, and I realized something terrifying. Whatever was sitting there was not arriving. It was remembering me into existence, and I was not sure anymore if I was the one who boarded the train or the one it came to collect. My mind went blank for a second, like the thought itself was too heavy to hold. The carriage was silent again, but it wasn't the same silence as before. This one felt aware. The shape in the seat didn't move, but I could feel it looking at me. Not with eyes, with memory. The conductor stepped closer to the aisle. Slow, controlled, like he knew I had reached a point of no return. "You're remembering fragments now," he said. I swallowed hard. Fragments of... I'd what? He didn't answer directly. Instead, he gestured toward the seat. And for a moment, the air above it shifted, like a thin layer of reality peeling back. I saw flashes, not images like normal memories, but moments that didn't make sense. Me standing on this train before I boarded me, already sitting in that seat, watching someone else arrive. My breath stopped. "No." I whispered, "That's not possible." The passengers all tilted their heads slightly in perfect unison, like they were confirming something. The shape in the seat leaned forward again, and this time the whisper came clearer. "You changed seats." My hands started shaking. I looked at the conductor. "This is not real." For the first time, he looked almost tired. Not of me, but of the cycle. Real doesn't matter here. The lights flickered, and with each flicker, my memory shifted again. Now I remembered boarding earlier. Now I remembered never, or standing up at all. Now I remembered being here the entire time. I grabbed my head, trying to hold on to something stable. But everything was slipping, even my own thoughts. The conductor raised a hand slightly, and the passengers began to move again, slowly circling me, not attacking, not rushing, just enclosing. And then the seat spoke again, not a whisper this time, but a clear thought inside my mind. "You are the last stop." The train jolted harder than before, and suddenly the walls outside the windows were no longer visible, just endless, motionless darkness, as if the train wasn't moving through space anymore, but through something else entirely. The conductor looked at me one last time and said quietly, "There is only one way trains like this end." A pause, and you are already inside it. The words didn't feel like a warning anymore. They felt like, confirmation. The carriage stopped shaking, but something worse replaced it. Stillness that felt final, like the train had decided it was done, pretending to be a train. The passengers were now fully surrounding me. No gaps left, no space to run, but they still didn't touch me. They just watched, waiting for something I couldn't understand. The shape in the seat stood up, slowly, not like a person, more like an idea becoming real. I stumbled backward until my back hit the door again. Still locked, still unresponsive. The conductor didn't move, he just spoke calmly. "One last choice remains." I laughed once, sharp and broken. "Choice. I don't have any choices left." For the first time, the conductor shook his head. "Everyone does." A pause. Even here. The lights dimmed again, and in that darkness I felt something shift inside me. Not around me, inside, like my thoughts were no longer fully mine. The shape stepped closer, and now I could feel it clearly. Not a presence but a connection, like it had always been attached to me. Even before the train, memories flickered again. But this time I resisted. I grabbed onto one thought. One anchor. The station, the arrival, the boarding. Something real, something I could prove. And suddenly the shape stopped, just inches away. The conductor's voice softened. "You're holding on to the wrong beginning." My breath shook. "What does that mean?" He pointed slowly toward the window. The darkness outside shifted, and for the first time I saw it clearly. Another train parked beside us. Identical, same shape, same windows, same empty platform beyond it. But inside that other train I saw myself sitting still, not moving, not speaking. Watching me, I froze completely. The conductor whispered, "You didn't board this one first." A pause. "You boarded the other one." The truth hit harder than fear. This wasn't a journey, it was a split, and both trains were now converging on the same ending. The shape in the seat finally spoke aloud. Not in my mind, but in the carriage itself. Soft, close, familiar. "You came back to the wrong version of yourself." My mind refused to process what I was seeing. Two trains, side by side, moving through nothing, like reflections that had broken apart. In the other train I was still sitting, perfectly still, watching me, and in that moment I realized something worse than fear. There was no other me, there. Eyes were two outcomes of the same moment, both real, Both wrong. The carriage around me began to hum, low at first, then deeper, like metal remembering its purpose. The passengers stopped circling. They all turned toward the window. Not me. The window. The conductor stepped closer, now standing between me and the shape. For the first time, he looked directly at me without calmness. Something like urgency broke through. "You are running out of alignment." I stepped back. What does that even mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he placed his hand on the glass and the train outside shifted. The other version of me blinked. For the first time, it noticed me and smiled. My stomach dropped. That smile wasn't mine. Not fully, the shape behind me moved again closer. Its voice returned, but now it was layered. Multiple versions of it speaking at once. "You were separated at the first stop." The train corrected the error. My head throbbed, images flooded in, 2 platforms overlapping, 2 departures happening at the same time. One me stepping forward, one me staying behind. Both boarding, both real. The conductor spoke again. "You were never meant to meet here." A sharp jolt ran through the train. The 2 trains outside began to align slowly. Like rails being forced into the same track, the passengers finally reacted. Not walking, not running, but collapsing into stillness, like they were being all rewritten. The shape in the seat reached out, and for the first time I saw its hand clearly. It looked like mine, but older, faded, incomplete. It touched my wrist, and instantly everything stopped. No sound, no movement, no train, just pure silence stretching infinitely. And then the final voice came. Not from the conductor, not from the shape, but from both at once. "You must choose which you are,